Welcome to Hive Mind. This is the Sharp Edge. I'm here to break down a recent dig of mine connecting Jeffrey Epstein to the Humpty Dumpty Institute. So what got me digging into this is that Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, sits on the board of directors for Humpty Dumpty Institute. Humpty Dumpty Institute is a UN-backed organization. They work very closely with the UN, the US Congress, and the US State Department. They claim that their goal is to tackle difficult global and domestic issues by establishing innovative and strategic partnerships that provide sensible solutions to serious problems. However, when you look a little bit further into their website, it's quite clear that they're more interested in transforming our world through the UN's 2030 agenda of sustainable development. And as we all know, that's kind of a key topic these days with the Democrats is sustainability and climate change. If you dig further into the UN's 2030 agenda, it has more to do with global governance and control over the world's population, and that means depopulation, as well as control over everything that's consumed and everything that is produced. That means from what you eat to what you buy and what companies and businesses are able to produce and sell. My question is, what's the deal with the Humpty Dumpty Institute? And I find the name Humpty Dumpty Institute quite curious. We all know the story, the fairy tale, the children's rhyme about Humpty Dumpty. So if you apply that to a UN agenda, what does that really mean? Most of the world's leaders today are brainwashed into believing that the UN and their 2030 agenda of sustainability is what is needed. But what if a government doesn't comply with the UN's agenda? Would that justify causing a Humpty Dumpty to fall in order for them to put the pieces back together again and reshape them in the form that they want to see? So that's my question. Why the name Humpty Dumpty Institute? It's quite bizarre. It does seem as though their agenda is to reshape the world. And so I do have a lot of questions as to what this Humpty Dumpty Institute is really about. And with Mark Epstein on the board of directors, I'm quite curious to know why he is needed on the board of directors of this UN-backed organization. They do appear to focus their humanitarian efforts on Asia, the Middle East, as well as Haiti, with a significant emphasis on children, although not exclusively. And it is in partnership with many other organizations, including the Red Cross of the Republic of China. If you start looking into the board of directors, it's several people who you've probably never heard of. But if you dig a little bit further into them, you may find some connections to Epstein and start uncovering the true agenda. For example, Walter Simon Arbib is a director on the board of directors for Humpty Dumpty Institute. He is the president of Skylink Group and the founder and director of Skylink Aviation. And Skylink is affiliated with DynCorp. We have an OIG report that shows that Skylink did subcontract work for DynCorp in Afghanistan and Pakistan. This is a 2010 OIG report. DynCorp has a sordid history with child trafficking in Bosnia, Colombia, and Afghanistan, including one incident in particular Hillary Clinton tried to cover up, but was uncovered through WikiLeaks. And one of Jeffrey Epstein's aircrafts coming and going out of Zorro Ranch had the same tail number as a State Department aircraft owned by DynCorp. Epstein's aircraft remained in commission while the FAA records showed the tail number was still owned by the State Department. Quite curious. Now, another board member of Humpty Dumpty Institute, Jennifer Diamond, her husband, Bob Diamond, was the CEO of Barclays, and he was pushed out of Barclays amid a LIBOR rigging scandal. And as we all know, Jeffrey Epstein has been associated with a few Ponzi schemes in the past. So I'm curious to know if there was any kind of connection between Jeffrey Epstein and Bob Diamond in this Barclays LIBOR rigging scandal. But that's beside the point. The point is that once Bob Diamond was pushed out of Barclays, who was there to usher in a new CEO? You guessed it, Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein is the one who actually put the new CEO into Barclays. So the new CEO, Jess Staley, is also in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book. Okay, moving on. So the co-founder of the Humpty Dumpty Institute is Constance Milstein, and she received an award in 2007 called the Urban Visionary Award by Cooper Union. And Cooper Union might ring a bell for you because that is another part of the Epstein story. So Jeffrey Epstein dropped out of Cooper Union and NYU's Courant Institute of Mathematical Sciences just before landing his job at Dalton School. And Mark Epstein later resided on the board of trustees of Cooper Union amidst a scandal which resulted in his resignation and was ultimately remembered as being intimately involved in most of Cooper Union's worst decisions. So we have this Cooper Union connection that keeps coming back and makes me want to dig into Cooper Union. So shortly after the FBI reopened a criminal investigation into the mishandling of classified emails through Weiner's laptop, Huma Abedin attended a fundraiser for Hillary Clinton at the home of Constance Milstein, the co-founder of Humpty Dumpty Institute. So you can see there's this close connection with Hillary Clinton and the deep state through this UN-backed organization that Mark Epstein sits on the board of directors for. So my question is it possible that a similar operation that was run by Jeffrey Epstein also took place under Mark Epstein through this nonprofit? We'll take a look at their members of the Congressional Advisory Board, and it might provide some insight. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz is just one of an all-star cast of swamp creatures that sits on this board of directors. We have Adam Schiff, Sheila Jackson Lee, Al Green, and Maxine Waters. It's a virtual who's who of the most outspoken anti-Trump members of Congress. DNC head Debbie Wasserman Schultz was embroiled in controversy over the DNC server leak and her Pakistani IT aide, Imran Awan, who had unauthorized access to congressional data, resulting in her termination at the DNC. According to congressional documents, 44 House Dems who hired Imran Awan and his family members who allegedly made the unauthorized access to congressional data exempted the Pakistani aides from background checks. And of those 44 House Dems who hired Imran Awan and his family, 7 of those are on the congressional board for Humpty Dumpty Institute. One of those congressional delegates in question is Andre Carson, and he was key in the Imran Awan scandal. He was appointed to the House Intelligence Committee by Nancy Pelosi and has links to the Muslim Brotherhood as outlined in a February 2015 dossier that I will link here. According to a Democratic IT aide, Awan and Carson used to play video games in Carson's office, which makes me wonder if they were actually using those games to communicate through game chat the unauthorized data that Imran Awan had accessed. Now, if you go back to the board of directors of Humpty Dumpty Institute, it makes a little bit more sense when you see that 2 of the board members are high up in a Chinese gaming company called Perfect World. So 2 of the board members of Humpty Dumpty Institute, Dr. Robert Hong Zhao and Ruby Wang, work for Perfect World, the largest gaming company in China. Dr. Zhao is the CEO of Perfect World, while Wang is a senior VP. When looking at this initially, I had questioned why they had 2 board members from this Chinese gaming company on Humpty Dumpty Institute board of directors, and now it makes sense to me. Another member of the Congressional Advisory Board for Humpty Dumpty Institute is Yvette Clarke, and she entered the Awan Scandal when a top aide to Clarke told investigators that Clarke's chief of staff, Shelley Davis, worked with Awan to steal $120,000 worth of office equipment, which had potential information that would have implicated them. That evidence was stolen. So the Awan case of unauthorized access to congressional data has been linked to allegations of both money laundering and blackmailing representatives based on the contents of the emails and the files that Awan had. Is this UN-backed nonprofit Humpty Dumpty Institute that is affiliated with Mark Epstein and other congressional members and other board of directors members affiliated with some sort of blackmail scheme similar to that of Jeffrey Epstein? And by looking at the evidence, it raises a lot of questions. So moving on. 2 congressional members accused of pushing the Muslim Brotherhood agenda, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, recently condemned travel restrictions to Israel for continuously making anti-Semitic remarks while serving in Congress. And Rashida Tlaib partnered with none other than the Humpty Dumpty Institute for the Israeli critical trip to the West Bank. Now you can see with all of these connections, we have connections to the Epsteins, we have connections to W. Wasserman Schultz and Imran Awan, we have connections to Muslim Brotherhood, we have connections to the UN, to the Clintons. It goes on and on. So what is this UN-backed nonprofit Humpty Dumpty Institute really about? Well, I don't claim to have all the answers, but I can tell you from all of this research and all of these connections, one thing's clear. The Humpty Dumpty Institute is not all it's cracked up to be, and something really stinks here, and it needs to be investigated. I hope you found this information helpful. Thanks for listening. Please share, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. We'll see you back next time on Hive Mind.